top stories tonight in Y News. 8 out of the 35 Delta variant cases in the Philippines are still active, with more cases possibly undetected, according to the Department of Health.
With just weeks after easing the travel restrictions, interzonal travels in the Philippines may soon be restricted again, even to vaccinated individuals.
Areas with reported cases of the Delta variant are set to receive more vaccine allocations from the government. Around 350 guests are invited to physically attend President Rodrigo Duterte's final State of the Nation address.
The Philippine government is eyeing a national budget of more than 5 trillion pesos for next year.
And Fabian intensifies into a typhoon. Know which areas in the country could be affected. Good evening, Philippines and the world. Today is Tuesday, July 20th, 2021. I am William Theo.
Join us in the next hour as we deliver today's top stories around the country and in other parts of the world. I'm Angelo Castro III.
We're also seen in 1,935 satellite monitoring centers nationwide and via live streaming worldwide through the UNTV social media accounts and our website, untweb.com. I am Herlene Delgado.
First in the news, we continue to monitor the COVID-19 Delta variant situation in the country. Of the 35 cases detected, there are still 8 active cases of a highly infectious variant. The Department of Health says there is a possibility of more undetected cases of the Delta variant in the regions. However, a health official believes that the Philippines is far better compared with other Asian countries now dealing with a surge of cases. Our health correspondent, Aiko Miguel, explains why in this report.
8 of the 14 COVID-19 Delta variant cases recently recorded and retested are still positive of the COVID-19 virus. This includes 1 in Manila, 4 in Cagayan de Oro, 1 from Misamis Oriental, and 2 returning overseas Filipino workers. All of them, however, are asymptomatic and are currently in isolation facilities. The health department explains, although they have completed their 14-day quarantine period, part of their protocols is to retest those who have been infected of the more transmissible COVID-19 variant.
So they were tagged as recovered. So ang ating protocol, kapag nagkakaroon ng variants, na-determine ang isang tao na may variant, binabalikan po sila ng ating epidemiology and surveillance units so that we can assess them and we need to retest them. So pina-quarantine po sila uli, and then until they have negative results, saka po sila ipapauwi.
Undersecretary Vergara explains they have low viral load so they don't need to have to run their samples for whole genome sequencing. The DOH is continuously backtracking close contact of the 16 Delta variant cases reported last Friday by health authorities. They have traced 8 close contacts from NCR, 10 from Region 6, 27 from Region 10, and 46 close contacts of the 5 returning OFWs. Currently, they have now 91 close contacts. The DOH is still awaiting a report from Manila City because there are more traced close contacts of the 2 local cases detected in the city.
Kahapon, that Mayor Isko has mentioned that they were able to trace about 36 individuals. So inaantay pa rin po natin yung kanilang submission for the complete report, na itong sinabi nila. So hindi pa ho tapos ang backtracing natin, nagpapatuloy pa rin natin para makita natin lahat ng tao nakasalamuhan itong mga individuals na to. We will be giving information in the coming days.
The country has limited genome sequencing capacity, but the health chief believes that the Philippines is far better than other ASEAN countries.
Sa ngayon kasalukuyan, mas dihamak na mas maayos naman po ang ating kalagayan vis-a-vis the Delta variant.
Aiko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Meanwhile, health authorities have already tested and isolated the crew members of the MV Tug Clyde and barge Claudia from Indonesia, currently docked near Albay Port. According to the Department of Health, 12 crew members tested positive for COVID-19, including one who sneaked out from the boat and returned home in Butuan City. The close contacts of the infected Filipino crew member have been tested for the virus and then isolated.
Yun pong kanyang close contacts, yung kasama yung driver ng public transport, yun pong isang helper, at saka lahat po ng kanyang kapamilya ay na-quarantine na po ng local government natin.
11 crew members are currently isolated inside the sea vessel. They would be brought to the hospital nearest to where the vessel is docked should they begin to show symptoms of COVID-19.
Local government units are now preparing for an action plan against the possible spread of the COVID-19 Delta variant. Part of their strategy is to restrict the travel from areas with recorded Delta cases. JP Nunez has the details.
No large-scale restrictions would be imposed for now in the country amid the threat of the Delta variant. In his weekly address last night, President Duterte ordered the Department of the Interior and Local Government or DILG and the Philippine National Police or PNP to implement stricter protocols to help avoid mass gatherings and prevent super spreader events. According to DILG Undersecretary Epimaco Densing III, local government units may soon restrict interzonal travel even to vaccinated individuals and granular lockdowns.
Ang ating panuntunan po as much as possible ay hindi po tayo magla-lockdown ng isang probinsya o isang syudad, no? Ang pagigtingin po natin ay pagla-lockdown ng mga maliliit na kalye, mga barangay o yung tinatawag nating granular lockdowns.
Earlier, the Octa Research Group proposed stricter implementation of the NCR Plus bubble to prevent the Delta variant from entering the region. The DILG official says they are now studying it.
Bibigyan tugon po namin ang suggestion na yan ng Octa Research. Magkakaroon po tayo ng IATF meeting ngayong Huwebes at masasama po yan sa ating agenda para pag-usapan at para makita na rin natin na yung ating mga preventive measures or preventive health protocols sa mga lokal na gobyerno.
Meanwhile, the DILG also asked the Department of Budget and Management for additional funding of the augmentation of contact tracers. The DILG continues to appeal to the public to strictly adhere to the minimum public health standards as the Delta variant cannot be detected by ordinary testing and may be traced only through genome sequencing. JP Nunez, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
Places considered as areas of concern amid the Delta variant threat in the country will get additional supplies of COVID-19 vaccines from the national government. According to National Task Force Against COVID-19 Chief Implementer Secretary Carlito Galvez Jr., the inoculation program in the areas of concern should be accelerated to counter the potentially devastating effects of a Delta outbreak. The vaccine czar also reiterated the directive of President Rodrigo Duterte to ensure the equitable distribution of the vaccines among the regions and provinces throughout the country.
Because of the Delta, we are redeploying our vaccines to the Delta variant area of concerns in Region 10, in NCR, in Region 6, at saka po yung mga ECQ at MECQ areas.
Meanwhile, the country has managed to establish a stockpile of COVID-19 vaccines due to the big volume of doses delivered to the country in recent weeks. Janice Inhente will give us the details live. Janice, how much stockpile of COVID-19 vaccines do we have, and until when can it last?
Diego, the government has stored over 12 million doses of COVID-19 vaccines, which will be enough until the next delivery of vaccines arrives in the country. That is why the National Task Force Against COVID-19 is confident that local government units will not be short of supply until August 17.
It has already reached its desired stockpile level of above 10 million. Sa ngayon po, sumobra pa po tayo na 12,826,099, in which our supply can last up to 32 days or up to August 17. Kapati po tayo na sa August 17 ay hindi po tayo mahirapan po na magkaroon ng shortage.
In Quezon City, over 107,000 doses of COVID-19 vaccines were delivered yesterday. The Quezon City LGU targets to vaccinate 1.7 million of its residents to achieve population protection next month, while the City of Manila has received the 18,000 doses of the Johnson & Johnson vaccines. This is in addition to over 13,000 doses of other COVID-19 brands reserved for Manila residents.
Yung sa Johnson & Johnson kasi pag-uusapan pa lang yan eh. Pero yung vaccines na meron tayo ngayon, setting aside yung Johnson & Johnson yung vaccines na meron tayo ngayon for first dose ay bale presumed na siya na hanggang ngayon na lang. Unless may mga hindi pumunta at may mga sobra-sobra tayong tira na hindi na iturok.
Yesterday, over 1 million doses were administered in the city of Manila, of which 335,969 were fully vaccinated. Apart from Manila, Caloocan and Valenzuela City have also received their supply of Janssen vaccines, but it will be given exclusively to senior citizens. Meanwhile, Mandaluyong City has also received a new supply of Sinovac, AstraZeneca, and Janssen vaccines that will help to increase the number of fully vaccinated people in the city.
Lahat ng second dose, meron pa kami. Yung second dose ang binabakuna namin ngayon. And meron kami dumating na Astra and Johnson & Johnson na ibabakuna sa senior citizen.
While Navotas City has over 40,000 doses of COVID-19 vaccines to be taken until the second week of August. Yesterday, over 15 million doses of COVID-19 vaccines have been vaccinated by the government, of which over 4.7 million have been fully vaccinated. Diego?
Thank you, Janice Inhente, reporting live. The Philippines recorded today 4,516 new cases of the novel coronavirus disease or COVID-19, pushing the nationwide case count to 1,517,903. In its latest bulletin, the Department of Health said that the number of active cases in the country dropped to 46,806, excluding data from 10 laboratories. Of these, 91.7% are mild, 2.1% are asymptomatic, 1.90% are moderate, 2.7% are severe, and 1.6% are in critical condition. Meanwhile, 5,240 new survivors were logged. These brought the recovery tally to 1,444,253. The death toll, however, climbed to 26,844 after 58 more patients died. Meanwhile, the overall global COVID-19 caseload and death toll stood at 190,939,042 and 4,096,418 respectively, according to the Johns Hopkins University. The USA is the worst hit country with 34,132,079 total cases and 609,231 deaths. India follows on second spot with 31,174,322 confirmed cases and 414,482 deaths. In terms of deaths, Brazil comes second with 542,756 fatalities and 19,391,845 total cases. Other countries with more than 5 million confirmed coronavirus cases are France, Russia, Turkey, and the United Kingdom.
For those watching our 24/7 live streaming on YouTube, please click the subscribe button you see on your screen and ring the bell for notification. You may also follow us on Facebook. The invitations are out. Around 350 guests are expected to physically attend the final stage of the nation address of President Rodrigo Duterte on July 26, 2021. According to organizers, this is possible as more guests have been fully vaccinated against COVID-19. However, the invitations still do not include Vice President Leni Robredo. Nel Maribuhok explains why.
The House of Representatives is almost ready for the last State of the Nation address of President Rodrigo Duterte on Monday, July 26. According to House Secretary General Mark Leandro Mendoza, around 350 guests will be allowed to enter the plenary hall to witness President Duterte's 6th SONA.
As of now, ang papayagan sa loob, around mga 350 na tao ang papayagan sa loob. Magkakasama na lahat, senators, congressmen, mga ibang government officials, sa ibang guests.
The first and second gallery of the plenary will accommodate guests, which includes high-ranking government officials. Despite the increased visitors, the lower house will implement mandatory COVID-19 tests even to those who are fully vaccinated.
Same thing, ganun pa rin. May RT-PCR test pa rin na gagawin sa lahat ng mga attend physically. At the same time, on the day itself, meron ding antigen testing na gagawin para sa lahat ng mag-attend.
400 House employees, including security personnel, will be allowed to enter the lower house, specifically those who have tasks related to the SONA. According to Mendoza, they already gave out invitations. Some of them include former President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo and former House Speakers Alan Peter Cayetano and Pantaleon Alvarez. Vice President Leni Robredo was not invited to physically attend the event. However, she will join in remotely, according to the VP spokesperson, Attorney Barry Gutierrez. Mendoza said the House will be on lockdown starting Friday, July 23, while the preparation continues. The House will leave the security preparations to the Philippine National Police, Armed Forces of the Philippines, and Presidential Security Group. Protesters are also gearing up for President Duterte's last SONA. According to Cathy Estavillo, Secretary General of Amihan and Anakpawis Party List, some of their members in the provinces will conduct separate protests in their areas.
Nandun yung pag-iit at kung hindi man sila papayag dun sa mga sites na matukoy, siguro ay maghahanap ng mga ibang sites para ipakita yung malawakang disgusto ng mamamayan sa rehimeng Duterte mismo.
The group also expects a dialogue with security officials regarding their plans on SONA Day. Nel Maribuhok, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The Philippine government's economic managers have approved the 5.024 trillion peso national budget ceiling for next year. The 2022 National Expenditure Program will be submitted to Congress, but not during President Rodrigo Duterte's final State of the Nation address. Rosa Licons explains why.
The Development Budget Coordination Committee, or DBCC, has been preparing to submit to Congress the National Expenditure Program for 2022. The 2022 National Expenditure Program is 11.5% higher than the 2021 national budget. Based on the macroeconomic assumptions and fiscal targets of the Duterte administration, the approved expenditure ceiling for next year is pegged at 5.024 trillion pesos. For this year, our national budget amounts to 4.506 trillion pesos. The DBCC is optimistic that the country's gross domestic product growth will return to pre-pandemic levels as early as 2022. The proposed 2022 national budget will continue to invest in building the country's resilience amid the pandemic by prioritizing funding for COVID-19 response measures as well as ramping up economic growth by investing in public infrastructure. Meanwhile, according to Budget Secretary Wendell Avisado, the proposed national budget will not be submitted on July 26 or during President Rodrigo Duterte's 6th State of the Nation address. Last year, the proposed budget also faced delay. However, Avisado said the proposed 2022 budget will be submitted within the 30-day deadline after the SONA. Rosa Licos, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Senator Coco Pimentel has slammed the Cusi-led faction for resulting to intrigues to obscure their unlawful power grab. This as a party officer from the faction claims that the group of the senator is allegedly sending money to grassroots members. Arlene Delgado will tell us why.
We have received reports from the grounds na yung grupo nila Senator Pimentel and Senator Pacquiao sending money so that they will organize yung mga grassroots na sinasabi para may lumabas na may tao. Pero this is a political party, and who are the leaders of the political party? The leader of the political parties are the politicians.
This was the allegation made by PDP Laban Secretary General Attorney Melvin Matibag amid the ongoing rift in the ruling party PDP Laban. This was in response to the assembly organized by grassroots members of PDP chapters across the country last Saturday to show support to Senator Manny Pacquiao and to denounce the National Assembly initiated by Energy Secretary Alfonso Cusi. Matibag described it as a political spin in a bid to create noise. He adds the alleged sending of money from Pacquiao's group was reported to him by some old members in the party.
Tumawag sa akin mismo yung iba na ayoko na lang banggitin kung sino yung nagpadala mismo ng pera para mag-organize at sabayan po yung event ng July 17.
When asked for comment, Senator Coco Pimentel told UNTV News that he finds it pitiful that the Cusi-led faction has resulted to intrigues to redirect the public's attention away from their supposed unlawful power grab in the party. Pimentel says the other group is also insulting the tens of thousands of grassroots chapter members of the PDP Laban. The senator maintains that their loyal members cannot be swayed by money, noting that many of the grassroots members are reaching out to him, protesting what the Cusi faction has been doing to the ruling party. Pimentel adds they are not the well-funded side in the party. He is also urging Cusi and Matibag to explain first their supposed secret agenda for the members to assess whether the disruption that they have brought to the party has been worth it. In the National Assembly in Clark, Pampanga on Saturday, Cusi maintained that they have no secret agenda and secret candidate and denied that there are factions in PDP Laban. As the fate of the ruling party hangs in the balance, political analyst Professor Ramon Casigla believes the ruckus in the party cannot be resolved anymore through internal means.
Ang Comelec hindi pa actually final yun kasi pwede pa mag-abol sa Supreme Court. Tingnan natin, gagawa yan, magkakasuhan yung dalawang yan, maghahabulan sa Comelec kung sino yung pwedeng gumamit ng pangalan.
Hardin Delgado, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Australian state Victoria identified 2 super spreaders who accidentally sparked thousands of primary close contacts after visiting multiple outdoor sports events. Marvy Delpin will tell us the details why live. Yes, Marvy, go ahead.
William, there are now over 15,000 primary close contacts identified in Victoria, Australia, after 2 super spreaders visit multiple sports events held at the Melbourne Cricket Ground Stadium, one an Australian Football League game and another a Rugby League game. The 2 individuals reportedly contracted the contagious Delta variant from so-called removalists coming from the state of New South Wales and unknowingly became super spreaders after mingling with thousands in the sporting crowd while infectious. Authorities initially considered outdoor events as a low-risk spread. However, these new cases spark new concerns that even short, fleeting moments can still infect many individuals without directly making contact with a contagious person. William?
Yes, Marvy, what are the current COVID-19 statistics for the state of Victoria?
William, according to the official numbers released by the Department of Health, there were 13 new COVID cases reported, with a total of 96 active cases in the state. William, over 1 million COVID vaccines have been administered in Victoria as the government continues to urge people to get vaccinated. Back to you, Will.
Yes, thank you, Marvy Delphin, reporting live from Perth, Australia. After over 16 months, Canada has declared the reopening of its borders on non-essential travels from the United States. Queenie Rivera will tell us the details live. Yes, Queenie, go ahead.
William, starting on August 9, Canada will permit fully vaccinated American citizens and permanent residents to enter the country, ending the 16-month-long travel restrictions placed in March 2020 in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. According to Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, in a conference on Monday, as vaccination rates increase and COVID infections decrease, Canada is moving forward, making this border adjustment possible. The Canadian government also mentioned that international travels are projected to be permitted starting on September 7. According to Canadian Health Minister Patty Haju, this is possible as long as the COVID-19 situation remains favorable, as Canadian safety is the country's priority. Canada has fully immunized over 50% of its population and around 70% has received at least one dose. William?
Yes, Queenie, will the United States reciprocate the reopening of Canadian borders?
According to White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki, they continue to review the travel restrictions but has declined to commit in following Canada's lead in reopening its border will. It is also likely for Washington to extend the U.S. travel ban, which expires on July 22. Will?
Yes, thank you. Queenie Rivera reporting live. And many people throughout England celebrated as the country ends the implementation of almost all COVID-19 restrictions. Charisse Longbowen will give us the details live. Yes, Charisse, good evening. Go ahead.
Good evening, William. July 19 marked what many call as Freedom Day, as the UK government scrapped the wearing of masks, social distancing, and other lockdown restrictions in England. Remaining businesses and venues started to reopen with no limit on the number of attendees, such as in nightclubs, where many partygoers, majority young adults, celebrated starting midnight. However, many UK citizens, doctors, and scientists expressed their concerns as COVID-19 cases in the country continues to rise. Deputy Chief Medical Officer Professor Jonathan Van Tam advised the public to be cautious as they celebrate their freedom.
And I would just urge people to be gradual and people to be cautious to the extent possible. That doesn't mean you can't have fun. It can be done, but gradually and cautiously, please.
His statement is supported by UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson, who also encourages people to get vaccinated.
Let me stress, we want people to be able to take back their freedoms as they can today. We want this country to be able to enjoy the fruits of our massive efforts and of our enormous vaccination campaign. But to do that, we must remain cautious and we must continue to get vaccinated. And that's why we're asking you to come forward and get your jabs now.
Back to you, William.
Yes, Charisse, what is the current vaccination status in the United Kingdom?
William, as of July 19, 2021, 10 p.m. UK time, 46,314,039 people already received their first vaccine dose, while 36,099,727 got their second dose, which makes up a total of 82,413,766 COVID-19 vaccinations given. William?
Yes, thank you, Charisse Longbowen, reporting live from Bangkok, Thailand. Meanwhile, a new study in the United States revealed that despite the reduction of cars on the road during the pandemic, contrasting figures show an increase in the number of road accidents reported in the country. Dale De Castro reports why.
Rideshare services, taxi and transit use in the United States plummeted to 40% during the pandemic, according to a study. Furthermore, the percentage of commuter trips fell about 26% April last year. Studies revealed that the proportion of people using transit, taxi, or rideshare had a drastic drop from 5.5% pre-pandemic to 1.7% in April 2020, before leveling at approximately 2.4% for the remainder of 2020. Major contributory factors were stay-home orders and closure of non-essential businesses in the country. Although the study showed a drastic drop in the number of cars on the road, the AAA survey showed an increase in the number of road fatalities in 2020. According to Jake Nelson, highway safety officials will need to work harder in cracking down overspeeding, substance-impaired driving, and failure to wear seat belts. Dale De Castro, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The gradual reopening of businesses in the country is now under threat again, as the government warns that it might reimpose strict community quarantine measures if the Delta variant continues to spread in the country. Janice Inhente has details.
Lara Mirom, a staff supervisor in a salon in Barangay Bago Bantay, Quezon City, is slowly earning back his loss after several businesses were forced shut due to the strict quarantine measures. But with only 40% capacity allowed in hair salons, their operations are still limited and so is their revenue.
Malaki talaga apekto dahil marami kami nahirapan dahil wala naman ayuda ang salon eh. Kagaya sa amin, pag wala ang salon, hirap kami sa araw-araw namin pagkain.
With a monthly rent to pay and other dues, Lara is hesitant to close down his shop amid the Delta variant threat.
Hirap talaga sa ngayon dahil yung pag sa rental naman minsan hindi nakakabayad dahil minsan nakaunawa na lang yung may-ari siguro ng building dahil hirap talaga dahil kaunti lang ang customer. Sa pagpasahod naman na sa amin tama lang, tipid lang talaga kami, minsan naglalakad na lang kami para makapasok sa trabaho. Kung magulit naman mag-stricto tungkol sa salon, hindi na dapat dahil hirap na kami. Dapat tuloy-tuloy lang kasi sumusunod naman kami sa protocol. Lahat ginawa namin. 10% lang kami dito sa loob.
Even Rodel Roda, a gym staff, is concerned that their business might be closed again as gyms may be possible spreaders of the Delta variant.
For me, yung pagsasara, hindi siguro siya magandang idea. Kung mag-i-stricto man, baka hindi naman kailangang isara. Or kailangan siguro baka pwede limitahan na lang yung tao na pumapasok sa gym. Siguro susunod naman ng mga gym owners like kagaya namin na sumunod sa mga health protocols ng gobyerno.
Last night, in his weekly address, President Rodrigo Duterte said the government may reimpose tighter restrictions if the Delta variant continues to spread in the country. The Interagency Task Force for the Management of Emerging Infectious Diseases is still discussing the measures to prevent the possible increase of Delta variant cases in the Philippines, in addition to the implementation of the travel ban. President Duterte also told local government units to heighten their vaccination campaign. Janice Inhente, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
After more than a year, the government has implemented measures for the recovery of the Philippine economy. But if stricter restrictions will be reimposed, consumer spending, which is one of the main drivers of the economy, is at stake again. Ray Pelayo will tell us why.
The national government and business sector is seeing an unlikely delay in the economic recovery once the cases of the Delta variant surges in the country. Earlier, President Rodrigo Duterte warned of reinstating the strict quarantine protocols if COVID cases increase due to the threat of the Delta variant. But according to economist Professor Ronilo Balbieran, the impact will not be as serious as last year. In 2020, the country's economy lost around 2 trillion pesos in revenue due to COVID-19.
Hindi pa talaga nito maapektuhan yung ekonomiya natin kasi dapa na nga tayo to begin with. No? So parang wala na tayong idadapa pa sa pagkakadapa nitong ating ekonomiya.
Balbieran adds that if the number of Delta variant cases surges, the government should have ways to protect the public without imposing a lockdown. The vaccination program should also be boosted to achieve herd immunity, he added. Balbieran recommends additional funding for the government's Build program, adding that infrastructure efforts should be taken advantage so that when the pandemic subsides, the country can attract more tourists.
Ang nagagawa mo doon, nagkakaroon agad ka ng trabaho, nagkakaroon ka ng kita, napapaikot mo yung ekonomiya, pero at the same time, so you are making sure, no, na kapag naglakwat sa tayong lahat at dumating ang mga foreign tourists, hindi tayo mako-congest.
The Economist also expressed support to the passing of the Bayanihan 3. Ray Pelayo, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Metro Manila mayors want minors to stay at home while there is a threat of COVID-19 Delta variant spread in the country. According to health experts, minors may be super spreaders of the virus. Asher Kadapan Jr. details why.
Although there were only few cases of COVID-19 infections recorded among children, they are not exempted in the transmission of the disease and infect other people. Infectious disease expert Dr. Ron Jean Solante explains this as he agrees to Metro Manila Mayor's recommendation of disallowing minors to go out of residence. This is mainly due to the threat in the spread of the more contagious and fatal COVID-19 Delta variant in the country.
Ganito ang magiging sitwasyon. Halimbawa, kung merong bata nag-positive ka dahil pinapalabas, no? Pag umuwi yan sa bahay, tapos may mga matatanda sa bahay na kasama na hindi pa bakunado, pwede niyang mahawaan ito. So, that's the danger there. Kung halimbawa, ituloy natin itong pagpalabas ng mga bata sa ganitong klaseng sitwasyon na merong Delta variant.
Metropolitan Manila Development Authority Chairman Benjamin Benhar Abalos Jr. on the other hand explains that their recommendation is backed by health experts. With this, the Metro Manila Council appeals to the Interagency Task Force for the Management of Emerging Infectious Diseases to suspend its newly implemented provision of allowing children aged 5 years old and above to go out of their residences. Abalos emphasizes that children may be super spreaders, especially of the vicious Delta variant.
Alam naman natin na ang mga bata hindi tapak nito, exceeded na to. Number 2, they could be super spreaders. Number 3, alam natin na ang Delta variant is very, very contagious and is very, very aggressive and infectious.
Parents also agree to keep the children at home.
Opo sir, kasi mahirap na po eh. Pag nagkasakit problema din po natin. Kahit sabihin pang may, di ba, nagbabaksin na tayo. Nag-iingat pa rin po kami kasi hindi natin masasabi.
Kasi kahit na po hindi pinapayagan mo yung bata, talagang gustong-gusto po nila talagang lumabas kahit anong pigil mo po.
The Metro Manila Council expects IATF's decision on their recommendation within the day. Asher Kadapan Jr., UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The Manila local government is obliging all COVID-19 patients in the city under home quarantine to transfer to quarantine facilities. The authorities warned of the possible charges to patients refusing to cooperate with local officials. Marvin Calas explains why.
Under the memorandum released by the Manila Barangay Bureau yesterday, all barangay officials are instructed to transfer all COVID-19 patients under home quarantine within their jurisdiction to the city's quarantine facility. According to Manila Barangay Bureau Director Romeo Bagay, it is the local government's way to prevent the possible community transmission of Delta COVID-19 variant.
So, hindi na namin ina-allow today yung home quarantine. Kasi nga, alam naman natin lahat na nakapasok na yung Delta variant, ibansa natin. At ito yung ina-anticipate ng aming alkalde ni Orme. Kasi yung pag-test ng virus ng Delta variant, it takes 2 to 3 weeks bago siya ma-determine na siya ay Delta.
The city currently has 14 quarantine facilities, 6 city-run hospitals, and the COVID-19 field hospital in Luneta Park, which has a 344-bed capacity. Director Bagay says severe and critical COVID-19 cases are taken to the hospital, while all asymptomatic, mild, and moderate cases are brought to the quarantine facilities. The Manila Barangay Bureau warns about the charges to anyone under home quarantine who refuses to move in the isolation facilities. The director added that it is a violation to Section 9 of the Republic Act 11332, known as the Mandatory Reporting of Notifiable Diseases and Health Events of Public Health Concern Act. Under the law, a fine of not less than 20,000 pesos to 50,000 can be imposed to violators, or an imprisonment of at least 1 to 6 months could be imposed depending on the court's decision. Some Manila residents, on the other hand, has different opinions about the matter.
Maganda rin kasi sila nakakaalam kung paano sugpuin yung sakit na yon, yung virus na yon. Kaya lang, sa isang banda, yung mga pasyente na tinamaan ng variant na yan, mahirap po, kasi i-isolate mo, hindi pwedeng dalawin ng kahit sinong kaanak. para bang mas nadidepress yung pasyente.
Nababahala din, pero anong magagawa natin kung talagang nandyan na, wala na tayong magagawa kundi ang pagtulungan na para gumaling ang bawat isa. Yun lang ang para sa akin, ha. Kasi yung lalo katulad ko, may edad na ako, gusto ko, kapamilya ko yung nakikita ko.
The Department of Health does not recommend home quarantine due to the threat of Delta variant. The DOH has no plan to amend the current health protocols yet, but instead, the department allows the LGUs in the implementation of strict isolation among COVID-19 patients.
Yes, we agree with that. Home quarantine is not encouraged at this point. We should do facility quarantine so that we can better isolate the patient and prevent further infection in the community.
The authorities also assured that assigned staff from the LGU are deployed in taking care of the patients and that there is no need to bring a relative for assistance. Marvin Calas, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
And for our weather update. Severe tropical storm Fabian has intensified into a typhoon at 2 p.m. today. State Weather Bureau Pagasa says as of 4 p.m. today, the center of Fabian was located at 895 kilometers east-northeast of extreme northern Luzon. It has maximum sustained winds of 120 kilometers per hour near the center and gustiness of up to 150 kilometers per hour while moving west-northwestward at 15 kilometers per hour. According to Pag-asa, the storm is unlikely to bring heavy rainfall in the country throughout the forecast period. However, the southwest monsoon that is being enhanced by Fabian and the typhoon Sempaka outside the Philippine area of responsibility will cause monsoon rains in the next 24 hours over Metro Manila, Ilocos Region, Cordillera Administrative Region, Zambales, Bataan, Pampanga, Cavite, Batangas, Occidental Mindoro, Northern Palawan, including Calamian and Puyo Islands, Batanes, and Babuyan Islands. No tropical cyclone wind signal is currently in effect, but residents and disaster managers of Batanes and Babuyan Islands are advised to monitor Pag-asa bulletins as there is an increasing likelihood that tropical cyclone wind signal number 1 may be hoisted over the two areas. Fabian may exit the Philippine area of responsibility by Friday evening or Saturday early morning and may landfall in the vicinity of northern Taiwan during the same period.
And in other news, online surveys for the upcoming 2022 polls are now rampant now that the election draws near. However, security experts are warning the public to check first before participating in such activities. What will happen if you join an online survey and how can you verify if it is authentic? Let us know in Dante Amento's report.
The National Privacy Commission or NPC has recently issued a cease and desist order against Pilipinas2022.ph. It is an online political survey platform that allegedly collects personal data such as complete name, address, and mobile number. NPC Information Division Chief Attorney Rodolfo Cabato Jr. says the website was taken down and blocked with the help of the National Telecommunications Commission.
Its processing of the collected personal information is not being done fairly and lawfully, which is blatant violation of the DPA and its IRR.
Cabato adds Pilipinas2022.ph has no identified developer or owner. The website also failed to follow general privacy principles of transparency, purpose of data collection, among others.
Pilipinas2022.ph processing of personal information is detrimental to national security and public interest as it masquerades as an online political survey but does not specify all of their purpose in collecting the data.
The NPC has gave stern warning to the public to be extra cautious before participating in any online survey. It may result to identity fraud by using someone's name to deceive the others.
Huwag po tayong masyadong magbibigay ng datos kung hindi po natin alam kung saan po natin gagamitin or kung sino yung nakalagay na hahabulin natin or accountable person. or wala man lang contact details doon sa website na pinag-fill upan natin mga datos.
Even the PNP Anti-Cybercrime Group has disclosed that personal information can be used for online fraud or scam activities.
Yung mga data na yan na nakukuha ng mga taong nagsisend ng phishing link, yung mga hacker, yung mga data po na yan is magagamit po para makuha yung mga importanteng bagay sa atin.
The NPC reminds the public that unauthorized gathering of personal information is against the Data Privacy Act of 2022, which constitutes a fine of 500,000 pesos to 2 million pesos or imprisonment of 1 year to 3 years. Dante Amento, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
And before we close, we will leave you with a final word giving glory to God from the book of Psalms, chapter 127, verse 3. It says, "Lo, children are an heritage of the Lord, and the fruit of the womb is his reward."
And those are the reasons behind the news, July 20, 2021. I am Herlene Delgado.
Reasons we deliver to you as they unfold. I'm Angelo Castro III.
And because we need to know, we will always ask why. I am William Theo. We serve the people. We give glory to God.